So from one conference that's kind of wide open in the SEC to the most wide open conference by far in college football, the Big 12. In fact, the Big 12 favorite, there's two favorites to win the Big 12 right now, Kansas State and Iowa State. On DraftKings Sportsbook, they're plus 550 to win the conference. So you have 5.5 to 1 odds on the favorite to win the Big 12 right now. Every other conference has 3 to 1 odds or shorter for the favorite. So this is easily the most wide open conference in America. It's one of our favorite conferences in America, Dalton. Who is winning the most insane conference in college football?
It sure is. It's just wide open, and I don't feel any better about predicting it this year than we did last year. Because did we both take Arizona last year? Was that?
And we went 4-8?
Something like that. Yeah,
that was pretty bad.
Yeah, the Big 12. The Big 12 is rough, but we got Arizona State last year, who the year prior won 3 games. And Kenny Dillingham got them to win the Big 12 title and play a hell of a college football game, a playoff game against Texas, right? And look, they got Sam Leavitt coming back, Jordan Tyson coming back, Kenny Dillingham's building the culture. I'm taking Arizona State as my runner-up this year. And if in the flavor of, okay, we're going to have a team come out of sort of nowhere, although I think more people are on this year, I'm going to take a big bounce back from Kyle Whittingham and Utah to win this conference. I think you look at this team last year, they went 5-7. It was Kyle Whittingham's first losing season, I believe, since 2013. Look at the regular season, though, their defense. They still gave up in the regular season the third fewest points in the Big 12. They're going to be able to play defense. They've got guys. Teo Johnson is one at free safety I think about a lot. Lander Barton's back at linebacker. I think this defense is going to be good like it always is. They had the worst passing grade in the Power 4 last year. I think it was the 6th worst in the nation if you include the group of 5. You're getting Devin Dampier in here, who's one of the most dynamic runners, especially we have in the position in college football. He was 6th in the nation in PFF grade last season. I think Devin Dampier behind Spencer Fano and this elite offensive line and with the way that they want to run the football, I think is going to be a huge factor. And the other big thing for me, if we're looking at schedules, they do have to play Texas Tech, who we think is a prime contender, Arizona State's a prime contender, and Kansas State, who is currently one of the betting favorites to win this conference. You get them all at home. And before last season, Utah had one of the best home field advantages in college football. It was darn near impossible to go in there and win ball games. I'm a believer in Devin Dampier. I think his athleticism and everything he adds to this offense is going to make the difference from the Power 4's worst quarterback situation in the country last year. The Cam Rising injuries and potential return and then injuries again, I think just hung over this team. They were 5-7 and probably still should have made a bowl game even with no quarterback at all. This year they have a quarterback, love their defense, love their offensive line. Big bounce back from Utah. They're going to be back.
There's probably a lot of people surprised that Utah was in Dalton's title game right there and winning the conference after going 5-7 last year. Well, I also have Utah in my title game. They'll be losing, though. I have them losing to Texas Tech, who I think is in for a big year in 2025. In fact, Donnie in the chat also has Texas Tech over Utah right there. So ball nowhere and Donnie right there. But, yeah, I have Utah, like all the same reasons you said, should have a great defense once again. And that offensive line is freaking nasty, man. You have Spencer Fano, Caleb Lomu. Both those guys could be first-round picks at offensive tackle. Tanoa Togiai at left guard, one of the best guards that we have in the country, too. And the reason why they went 5-7 last year, even though they were the favorite to win the Big 12 preseason, is because they had a revolving door at quarterback with 4 different guys starting games for them last year with all the injuries. And they had the worst passing grade in the Power 4. Whenever you have the worst quarterback situation in the entire Power 4, you're probably going to have a struggle season. And they went 5-7 last year. So they're always a really good team. You can't forget about how good Kyle Whittingham's teams were when they were in the Pac-12. They won back-to-back Pac-12 titles there. I also agree with you. Utah will make it. And then Texas Tech, I don't think anybody did a better job in the transfer portal this offseason than Texas Tech. I think they have the 3rd best defensive line in the country after what was kind of a below-average defensive line last year. Now it's an elite one after all the transfers they brought in between David Bailey, Lee Hunter, Romello Height, Skylar Gill-Howard, and then guys that brought back too for another year or two. I just think the Texas Tech team, all the transfers they brought in offensively too, they, I think, are the most talented team in the Big 12 right now. They killed the transfer portal. I think Texas Tech will be the team to win the Big 12 this year.
3 questions I have for Texas Tech. 1, Baron Morton big moments, right? There's times where he can be very high and low. There's some days where he looks like even maybe something close to an NFL quarterback, and then there's some other days where it's just a complete collapse, and the play under pressure especially needs to be better. 2, on the offensive side, you're going from offensive coordinator Zach Kittley, who took the FAU head coaching job, now to Mac Leftwich coming up from Texas State. What's the adjustment with a new offensive coordinator? And 3, yes, love the defensive line. One of the best in the country, insanely talented. This team had the 10th worst coverage grade in the country last year. I have the same questions about them as we did about Miami in the ACC last year, where their D-line's going to be sick. I don't have any question about that. Are they good enough in the back end to hold up and not get in all these high-scoring games all the time and make enough stops in pass defense in the secondary to be a factor? If they can do, if those 3 things, it's really quarterback and secondary for me that are 2 big questions with Texas Tech. And I'll tell you right now, week 4. Cannot wait for them to go to Utah and to see Utah's offensive line against Texas Tech's defensive line. And if we get to see it twice, it's going to be awesome. I think that's really going to be the battle, obviously, we're going to talk about when we get to previewing that game. But those are the questions for me, quarterback and secondary with Texas Tech. I'm leaning just a little bit away from it. I think I might even, if I put this all together, probably have them in 3rd place. But I'm gonna trust Sam Leavitt and Kenny Dillingham in Arizona State, and then Kyle Whittingham, Devin Dampier, and everything Utah has, especially defensively, really like it.
I can't wait for that war in the trenches in week 4. My number 2 offensive line in the country in Utah against my number 3 defensive line in the country in Texas Tech, and could have a repeat. In my opinion, we will have a repeat in the conference title game between those 2 teams. Hey, thanks for watching another episode of the PFF College Football Show. Please make sure you guys subscribe to the channel.
Also, subscribe to PFF Plus at subscribe.pff.com for all of the same data and grades that we use in our show, plus fantasy tools, betting tools, and our mock draft simulator.